Welcome to Eye on the Illini Live here after the game, folks. We are in a very good place after the Illini find a way to hold off a very game UCLA team. And it was a very good second half for Illinois, even though UCLA played a very good half themselves. Illini allowed 53 points in the second half, but they scored 52. The early lead worked, and so basically we are in a position where the Illini walk away with a victory over UCLA, 83-78. And Ked, that was a nail biter, but the Illini held strong against a very talented and very a team that wouldn't give up, the UCLA Bruins.
Mike, I'm just really, really happy that they found a way to win. They beat a high-quality UCLA team tonight. I'm totally okay with it. At the end there are some concerns, and we'll address those, and we will talk about the positives as well. But you get the win, because at this stage of the season, I'm just sitting there looking at the standings because I'm watching Indiana and Michigan State play, and we see where Illinois is in the ranking. They're not going to win the Big Ten, but somehow if they could get in the top four and get that double bye going into the Big Ten tournament, that's what I'm looking forward to right now, long term for this team. The tournament, what they do is going to, it's going to be depend on them. But right now, that's all you can really hope for.
Yeah, I got to be honest. This was an encouraging one. Let's go and dive into the stats for a little bit, just so that we can kind of touch base. When you go across and look at this, Humrickhouse was 9 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists. Boswell, 11 points, 4 boards, 2 assists. Ivisic, 16 points, 7 boards, 3 assists. Also had 4 TOs. Morez Johnson, 8 points on 4 or 5 shooting, 6 boards, and only 1 personal foul. We had Kasparis with a 24-point effort, 8 boards, 4 assists, 4 fouls, and 5 TOs. Dre Gibbs Lawhorn did not score, but had 2 boards and an assist. Will Riley, 10 points, 3 boards, 2 assists. And Jake Davis with 5 points and 1 assist and a couple personal fouls. Illinois ended up with 14 turnovers, 36 rebounds. They ended up in a pretty good place there, Ked. And despite allowing 63% shooting from the Bruins in the second half, the Illini ended up with a 60% shooting half themselves. So we're seeing that this team, is really starting to gel. And the interesting thing is that gap on if you're looking at the points off of turnovers, UCLA won that 20-9. That kept them in the game. And I think Illinois' relentless rebounding, having a 13-board advantage, and getting those additional shots and getting, drawing fouls, I think that may have been, one of the key drivers in this game. And I do think Illinois played quite well. And UCLA also had a lot more assists in the second half. So I think they maybe took notes from what Illinois was doing and tried to emulate a little bit of that offensively.
Mike, you just went over the stats, and it's February, and this week is going to be Valentine's Day. But here's Mr. Kendrick Prince asking for a late, very, very late holiday Christmas gift, if you will. Kasparis, please take care of the damn basketball. The turnovers, I've seen enough, and I don't want to be to harp on the kid. I have literally seen enough of those careless turnovers. I mean, for every good play he does, to put it like this, I'm not going to say a name, but there were times in the past I just felt comfortable with guys with the basketball. And this guy has the potential to be a lottery pick. And every time he touches the basketball, I'm scared because I think he's trying to do something remarkable. and it's going to cost them when it really matters. And to be honest with you guys, I don't think it's going to change. It's not going to. They played 25, 26 games. He is who he is, and it's frustrating. And like I said, when they played Minnesota last week, some of those passes with the Ibisic, he's standing at the top of the key trying to make cutters and stuff, and I get that. But the difference is, Mike, he just go up and he'll just hand it to guys, throw it across half court when nobody's there. I just don't like seeing it, and I wish like heck he could turn those down. I did talk to one scout, and now it's starting to get out that that's an issue for a lot of them, because I've seen them slide down the draft boards, 2 or 3 spots. It's not a lot, but that's the thing that they're concerned about. So, it's, again, I don't want to be negative, Mike, and to the people out there listening, it's just a concern for me. But overall, they beat a team that won 7 games in a row. This is a good UCLA team. It's going to be a really good tournament team. I know a lot of people don't like, Cronin because he complains and whines a lot, and he's fighting for his team. Huh?
That suit?
Well, but at least what he's wearing. I like the sweatsuit look now, but, a lot of people were texting me saying, Katie, which would you rather have, him or Izzo? Ever since the Illinois game up in Michigan State, I've kind of soured on the Spartans a little bit, and that game Saturday is going to be fun, and it's going to be wild.
Yeah, I can't wait. Now, as we look at the other thing, people are always asking for this, so I wanted to at least put this in there for the Illini. You can see that Humrickhouse was a -3, Boswell was a +10, Ivisic was 6, Morez was 8. We had Kasparis at 8, Gibbs Lawhorn was a -3, Will Riley was a 0, Jake Davis was a -1. So again, that stat, that's basically you add up the scores every time somebody's in a game, and then when they leave, whatever the difference is, you do that the next time they go in and come out, and you just add all that up. So depending on the mix of people out there, that number is a little bit deceptive. As I said in the past, if you put me in a game with Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, Shaq O'Neal, and Kobe Bryant, my plus minus is going to look great, but we all know that I suck. So anyway, it is, but there again, it's another just indication. I thought a couple things really stood out to me this game. Layups. Illinois was 11 for 14. That's better than normal. Morez, is willing to dunk it when he gets the ball, and that's fun to watch. So they're 2 for 2. Obviously, Ivisic had one on that press break. So it was nice to see a couple dunks there. The points per possession is 1.317. The biggest concern is that turnover percentage at 22%. You would like to see that lower. And, of course, that's just the number of possessions and then taking a look at the number of turnovers, and you get the percentage. So I think that's the one thing that people might look at. And then the other thing that I look at that I think was a key stat that we probably should have talked about earlier, Ked, my bad. But Illinois was 18 for 20 shooting free throws tonight. And if Illinois does not shoot that well, that end of the game could go quite a bit different, because that UCLA wouldn't be forced into quite the fouling the way they did. And I do think when you go, you shoot 90% from the free throw line, that is incredibly important to your ability to win games.
I mentioned the turnovers, Mike. They had 9.5, finished the game with 14. One of the things because we're on live right now and you probably can't see it, but I did talk about in my tweet to go on live. Free throws down the stretch and offensive rebounding was huge. They got a couple offensive rebounding from Ivisic, and when you go 18 for 20 from the free throw line, that's what I said to you, last week. You get the wrong guy shooting the basketball, and when you don't make free throws, it's going to cost you. I want to put this out there because I know you're probably going to ask, but I'm just too excited. I want to jump the gun. There's a lot of talent on that roster, whether it be Draymond Gibbs, Longhorns, Trey White, Morez Johnson, Kylan Boswell. And we all know that Will Riley and Kasparis, KJ, Yakishon they're both going to be playing in the league sometime soon. But I will say it every week, and people are probably going to mute me when I say this. The most valuable player on that team is Ivisic. He is the one guy. And I know it's easy to say that when he's making threes, but Mike, I watched the Minnesota game 3 times before. I like to look at X's and O's and see kind of if I can get a pattern what Coach Underwood's doing. When Ivisic is playing, the offense is different. They run different things, and things are easy for him because you have to guard him. He is the one guy because you can hear opposing coaches yell hands, which means get your hands up because they can shoot it. You hear that with Kasparis, you hear that with Riley, you hear it with Humrikas, and you hear it with Ivisic. The other kids, you don't hear it so much. And I don't mean that to be disrespectful, but you don't. But his ability to pass the basketball and what he can do, his rebounding, getting loose balls, tipping the ball out for other people where they can get it. I mean, and truthfully, there's a lot of coaches speak, but I'm going to tell you, this kid's ankle is still bad. And tonight I got frustrated, but then I thought, Kendrick, shut up and be quiet. Then drop coverage. Nick Conan kind of figured it out. If Ivisic would never go out to cover the guys on the perimeter, he just wouldn't do it. I mean, he couldn't do it. The kid, what is his name here? Tyler, who was just having a field day. 7 of 12 from 3. They knew they were doing the mismatches. They knew Ivisic wouldn't get out there because he can move side to side, but he doesn't go front to back very well. And so there was times where he was open and Tomislav just couldn't get there to get to him. I hope, and it's tough because tonight he played 32 minutes, the third most minutes on the team behind KJ and Ben Humrikas. So, teams are going to exploit that, because I think he can cover. He's good enough to, but I think his ankle is still bothering him where he can't get out there to move laterally. I think it's hurting him a little bit.
I think he's hurting, but to go out on a bum ankle against, like I said, a very good team, both offensively and defensively, and put up numbers like 16 and 7 is certainly a tribute to him. And you certainly appreciate that out of your players when they're willing to go like that. As you look at this game, I think there was some real importance about this performance that maybe people don't think about right now. And that's because Luigi Swigo, the 7'2", 7'3" center from Europe, was there tonight, Ked. How important do you think it is not only to play well in front of a big-time recruit like this, but get the win and to have your 2 Euro players leading the way?
Well, Mike, this is why you and I are friends and colleagues, because during this whole game, I'm thinking, okay, this guy is watching Ivisic just come out here and put on a clinic because he's getting the shots that he wants, and the opportunities are going to be there for him. And for those people, who don't know, you can go to our message boards. And, I was the guy who broke the story that he was going to be on campus. And not that matters, but, he is 7'3", and when you look at his game, it kind of looks like Ivisic, but he's a lot taller. I mean, much taller. He passes the ball the same. And I don't know why people always got to get stronger. Well, duh. How many 17-year-old kids who look like they are going to be when they're 19, 20 years old? They're going to gain weight. They're going to get muscle. They're in college. They're playing at the Division I level. That's going to come. You look at Ivisic, how much his body's changed. You look at KJ, how much his body's changed. So if they can somehow land this kid, it'd be great. The one thing I've seen about him, Mike, with Luigo, is that I've seen a lot of kids come on visits, official visits. He's probably the one kid that I've seen personally wear an Illinois hat and an Illinois shirt at the game. And am I reading something into it? Probably, but most recruits don't do that. They just don't. So I know when Orlando Antigua was involved and Jeff Alexander, they've just really proven that they can go out and recruit. And everybody was so concerned about what Jeff's job was. You know what? They're the reason that this big fellow from Italy is in Champaign, who started his official visit yesterday, who saw a great crowd. They had a great game, and you're right. You saw 2 European players, or really 3. Well, I guess with Canada, with Will Riley, guys that are NBA potential players. And to be truthful with you, it's starting to resonate, Mike, with a lot of recruits. We talk about guys that are overseas and guys that are foreign players and, who could potentially play, at the NBA level. Illinois is recruiting kids like that. They're focused on bringing in top talent kids that can do that. I'll close with this. I spoke to a kid today. His name is Joe Nunez. He's a 2027 kid, outstanding basketball player, and I'll have something for Illini guys tomorrow on him. One of the reasons he's even considering Illinois is because of Coach Orlando Antigua, but the player development and the amount of NBA players and the way they let kids play is why he's intrigued with Illinois. So this matters. It's really, really nice. And, it's great to go to the games, but I'm always one step ahead. I'm always thinking about next year's roster, and so are the coaches. Sorry to ramble so long.
No, that's fine, because I do think one of the reasons people want to subscribe to Illini guys is the inside information that you and Brad, have continuously gotten for 20 years, and certainly you will definitely hear that, and you'll be able to read those things in our message boards. Those are things we don't share. I mean, we do use the subscriber model. And folks, if people who wonder, like, why do you guys have a subscriber model? Well, there's some stuff that we just can't put out there because, if you're going to make it a real story, you've got to have sources who are willing to put their name on it. And sometimes the whispers, we don't always get someone willing to use the name, but we can have it in a message board where it's not out in the general public. And the other thing is the subscription thing is what allows us to send people to games. Brad's going to be going to the Duke game, and that does not happen for free. So we use those funds. So if you like our coverage, that's a great way to help. And, we have to, Ked is obviously, writing stories, Brad's writing stories, Matt's writing stories. People are traveling to games, and that's how we pay those expenses. And if you want that inside information, that's kind of where you can get it at. And so we love to talk about that. From a recruiting standpoint, it is excellent to see this because you're getting a different style of athlete coming out of Europe because their training is different. So whereas in the United States, there's a lot more time spent playing games and learning in the actual game setting. In Europe, it's very much a practice first setting, and then the game is more like passing a test as opposed to the other way around. And so you're getting guys who fundamentally are very sound, but they have to get used to the speed and power of the American game. But it does provide you a really fertile ground for some extremely talented players. And when you take the foreign players like Ivisic, like Kasparis, and you put them on a team with guys like Morez, and all of a sudden now you're getting the best of both worlds. It is exciting for Illini fans. So to have Luigi here is a huge victory for Illinois fans. And maybe Illinois gets him, maybe they don't. BYU's got a billionaire throwing money, and AJ, reportedly number one player in the country, will be there next year at to the tune of anywhere from 5 to 10 million. So you're going up. You have to compete against people like that. But it is to be in the running for multiple players is great. And there were other players that we were in the running with, ended up with KJ, and the Illini seemed to pick a pretty good one, as he's now higher on the list than any other European. Now, it may not be that way in the draft, but so far he's been wonderful. So you can trust the eyes of Orlando, Jeff Alexander, and Brad Underwood to select good players.
Mike, I want to make a comment real quick, and I'm going to be brief. I want to piggyback off something you said. One of the things you talked about with our message boards, and I want to be really careful, and I'm going to try to take the high road and be politically correct when I say this. People have the right to get bad at and like who they like or don't like, because I'm certainly one of those people. And the reason I'm bringing this up is a lot of people may not be aware of why Skyy Clark left Illinois. Sometimes you just look at it and people are going to at me and say, oh, okay, the timing and all this stuff. One of the reasons you want to subscribe to our message boards, and I'm probably going to put something on there tonight. My job over the years, and I've been ill lately, which is why I haven't been at the games, but I'm almost done and I'm coming back soon so I can get back down there. But one of the things I love about my job is I develop relationships with these football players, women's basketball players, parents, and men. And I want all the people out there to know, without disclosing this too much personal information, Skyy Clark's father was dying. He was ill. He was sick. I'm telling you, it wasn't some fluke. And I would challenge anybody out there listening, which I probably shouldn't, because there's going to be some troll out there who's going to say, I'm making this up. If my father was sick and I had to go home to help my father, I'm going to do that. And I'm telling you, he was. And so for the people out there who think that Skyy Clark left and he wanted to leave, you're wrong. And I will end it with this. Skyy Clark plays for the UCLA Bruins, and to this day, the father is still texting and having conversations with Brad Underwood. That's how much respect they have for him. So for the people out there who just want to criticize this kid, I don't care about the student section because they're students and it's fun. But there's so much to it. This guy was not in great health, and this kid made a decision. I got to go home. So he took a leave of absence. He was gone a lot during practice time to be with his father. So I'll end it at that.
Yeah, that's good. That's good to know. Let's also take a look, and as we had an interesting question here. Whoops. Now here's one.
I like this question.
They always had an answer today, and maybe passed it a little bit too much. But the team's getting confident again. I think that's a very fair assessment of what is going on with this Illini team, and they're all playing together again. When you consider that it's 10 new players, and we had a month there with different players being injured, it does set you back some, and they have to make up some ground now.
Mike, here's what I really like, to be honest with you, about what Dan just said. They had an answer. The games that they lost, they didn't have an answer, and he's right. When they passed too much, what I saw from an analyst and the coach, it became one-on-one. It was just get the ball and hope that Kasparis makes a play. And he did. He made a big three-pointer. He got to the basket, and he got fouled. But for the most part, for a team that's new, and Coach Under was talking about this a lot lately, is that they're all young, and as good as I think Abisage is, he's still his first year of college basketball. So they're growing up right before our eyes. They did make plays. And tonight, I saw something different, and I'm going to take it and say bad host. They ran that out-of-bounds play that I absolutely cannot stand. Out of bounds, it looks like they're trying to throw a pass to a slot receiver. Tonight, the difference was they did it with a little bit more urgency, and it worked. So kudos to them.
What I don't like about that is the fact that they end up getting the ball to Kylan Boswell in a corner.
Too small.
Do prefer, if I'm going to run that, I want my big guys on the outside so that if they have to come up for it, they can throw over the top.
Exactly.
But that's just, that's a preference.
Mike, it's smart. I'm sorry to cut you out. It's smart, and it makes sense because I thought the same thing. But I know why they did it is because Kylan's one of the better free throw shooters on the team, and if he got fouled, that's the guy they want at the free throw line. But otherwise, I wouldn't take the chance and do it. I'd have a bigger guy doing it as well.
Yeah. Another question from Brad, not Sturdy or Underwood. Matt Stevens no longer part of the Illini guys. He is part of the Illini guys, but we try to give him a little bit of a break during basketball season. He'll still be on podcasts. He's been on the radio show the last couple of weeks on the Sports Spectacular, and he does go to the basketball games. We just tend to give him a little bit of a break since football season and then spring football. And then he also does a lot with the golf team.
And
so,
the women.
At some point, Matt has to have a breath.
And he does women's basketball. He's fine because he texted me tonight because he was asking me why. And I'll put it on the message board. I'm sorry. I'm going to do my job and my due diligence to, do what I need to do to help my company. But he asked me why Trey White didn't play a lot, and Drayvon's Gibb Lawhorn didn't play a lot, and I do have some insight with it. So he is going to ask Brad Underwood why he didn't play tonight, and Matt's going to text me and see what the response is, and I'll comment on it on our message board. But yes, Matt's alive, and like he was just in Wisconsin Sunday with the women because we were talking about Genesis Bryant, her ankle, and I was panicking because it was another injury. So, but you know, to piggyback on what Mike said, you know, I've been ill for the last month since Christmas, and you know, and so I'm going to get back out there. But he's right. This stuff costs money, and nobody's just going to give free car rental, free gas, and free plane tickets, and it all adds up. But on the other side of it is our jobs, mine, Matt's, and Brad, to give you information. This is why, like tomorrow, I'm going to have a really good story on a women's basketball recruit. And like I just mentioned, you know, the 2027 potential athlete who is going to keep Illinois in his top whatever just because of who he is. So, you know, the Joe Nunez kid. So just keep that in mind. There's information that you're going to get.
Yeah, and as we talk about that, we're going to step away for 30 seconds and pay a little bit of a bill and support our friends at Busey Bank. So we'll be back in about 30 seconds.
This is the run my own business dream. This is the colleges paid for dream. This is the retire early dream. This is Busey, where your dreams and possibilities become moments through trusted guidance and expertise, through lifelong relationships. Because we're here to help you achieve the life you've always envisioned.
And we're back. So sorry for that, but we wanted to at least get the pay a little bit of bills. And here, this was one that I thought about that. You know, Morez was on the bench, and I do think there is a difference in the defense and rebounding when he's not on the court. And that goes back to things that Ked and I have been talking about since 2021 when he was in high school and we were scouting him. He is relentless for that ball out there. And I do think when you take him off the court, you miss that. At the same time, there are times that you need to spread the court out. And when he's in the middle offensively, you can't do that quite as easily. So I actually was a little bit like you, thinking, well, you know, I'd like to see him out there a little more often at this. But when you look at the scoring rate that we went over, overall, it's hard to complain too much about the strategy that Coach Underwood employed, you know, with the rate Illinois was scoring despite the turnovers.
Ben was sitting I'm sorry. Ben was the one who made the comment. Morez was sitting tonight just strictly due to matchups. If you look at UCLA, Mike, and I can click the button and see because I have access to the stats. They shot the hell out of the ball in the second half. They really did.
63%.
Yes, and so the floor was spread, and they were taking advantage. Like I already said, they were doing it to Ivisic. That's why it wasn't anything that he did wrong. Sometimes you have to play the matchups, which is why you saw Jake Davis out there, you saw Ben Henriquez out there. They just felt, and then the game being close, and the free throw shooting may have been another part. But 10 minutes. That's a long time for a guy like Morez, but I wouldn't worry about it. I'm concerned about Draven Gibbs Lawhorn and Trey White. Those guys that I'm concerned about. But Morez, I think it was strictly just a matchup because shooting 63% in the second half, and they were just taking people off the bounce to do it. It was just really, really tough. And I think it was just a tough matchup for him.
Yeah, and speaking of tough matchups, we got Brad Sturdy, who was there at the game, and he's going to give us a little bit of insights on what he saw up close and personal. Brad, let's give us your thoughts on what you saw tonight. We thought was a pretty impressive victory overall against a UCLA team that I think would cause most teams in the country a headache when they come to town to play.
Yeah, they're very good. They have a large, they have size. They shoot. They're athletic. Great. They're great defensively, and what Illinois did offensively in the second half was extremely impressive. That was a top 10 national defense, and they put about I want to say at one point it was 1.8 points per possession when they took that. It was over 1.8 points per possession when they took that 16-point lead. Now, they didn't finish well, but overall it's a great performance. I thought offensively in the second half. I thought defensively in the first half they were fantastic. UCLA made their halftime adjustments and really spread them out and played mostly 5 out to allow their guards to have driving lanes and attack the basket. And so Illinois really struggled with the pick and pop. And, Ivasic is still not moving great. Brad Underwood postgame said that they were having trouble with communication. Defensively, it's something they have to get a little better at. They left some guys open and missed some guys off screens. And, so those are things that they need to work on defensively. But I thought first half's great defense, second half great offense. And you beat a team that's won 7 in a row. They had one of the nation's longest win streak. I believe it might have been the nation's longest win streak, or second longest win streak at that point.
As you watched it out there, Brad, any performances that really stood out to you? As particularly down the stretch of the game, we were impressed with the free throw percentage. Illinois coming in at a 90% clip. They don't win this game, I don't think, if they shoot, 70%. I think that all of a sudden this game turns into a coin flip.
Yeah, I know. 18 out of 20 from the line was fantastic. I thought they did a great job. They shot 18 free throws in the second half. So a really good job getting to the line, attacking the basket. Once again, they took a lot of threes, but most of the threes, there were about 4 threes. Underwood even said this after the game, there were about 4 threes. There were not good threes because of when they happened or how they happened. And, sometimes it's even, sometimes you have to take late shot clock threes. But I thought there was an early shot clock. They were up. Boswell's the one that stands out late in the game, just for it was just bizarre. There was, it was with like 18 on the shot clock and you're up by, at that point, you're ahead by 5 late in the game in the final minute 20 or whatever. It's like just a bizarre shot. And, so there was a couple of those, but overall they took good threes. They got to the rim and they made their free throws. And so those are things that you want to see. They did a good job of that. Now, UCLA also just went ballistic at the end. I mean, I don't even if you didn't guard guys, they usually don't make that many shots in a row. So sometimes, that happens and you just survive. And at the end of the day, you won just like you're supposed to win. And that makes, now you get ready for what's going to be another tough one on Saturday, but they should be prepped because UCLA was really physical tonight. Michigan State's going to be really physical, especially if Indiana holds on over there and wins that one. I haven't seen the final, but Indiana was up 9, I know, with about 4 minutes to go.
Right now, go ahead, Mike. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say it's a close game right now. So, Indiana is up 61-58 with 1:14 left, and unfortunately, they're clanging some at the free throw line. If you're rooting for Indiana,
well, I am just because I want my Twitter to be fun for the next few days. So I'm definitely pulling for Indiana right now just because I love the trolls who come at me on Twitter who can't comprehend and read what my points are. But anyway, it's going to be good. It'll bring some highlight to the game on Saturday. Looking forward to it. I know Illinois has been looking forward to it, but again, they just got a big win tonight. And I don't think people really understand. Brad just mentioned the fact that they won 7 games in a row. This was a big win. This UCLA team is going to be a tough out in the tournament, Big Ten tournament, and the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, Mitch, piggybacking on that, kid, this is winning on Saturday also moves you a little bit closer to getting into that double bye mode in the Big Ten tournament. And, because you've got the win over UCLA. If you can beat Michigan State on Saturday, you win your home games, beat Iowa, beat Purdue, and you feel really good about your chances. If they can split those 2 road games, win their home games, they're great shot to be, 13-7, probably get a double bye, get the top 4 seed in the Big Ten tournament. And I think that's a really important thing.
I mentioned that earlier before you got here, Brad. That would be a nice gift to get that double bye. I mean, they're not going to win the Big Ten, and I said at the beginning of the year I didn't care about it, but getting that double bye is a pride thing. It's a good thing for Illinois because I think they deserve it. They played well enough. They fought through some injuries and through some adversity. So just really, really looking forward to them and seeing what they can do against the Spartans. Right now, it's 62-60. Indiana with 32 seconds to go in the game, and Indiana has the ball.
So, Brad, could you tell anything from your vantage point? Did it look like Luigi was having fun?
Oh, it had to be. It was a great game for him to see. Yeah, he had a blast. They put him on the jumbotron. He got a loud ovation. I think the other thing that Jeff Alexander's working him hard, and also Ty Rogers was working him pretty good. So that was cool to see. And Kofi, having a guy like Kofi, you look at a guy like him, seeing the way Tomislav plays in this system, you had to feel pretty good about your chances. And I'm told that Illinois is in a very good place with him. So I think that's good. And I think that, this is you look at this game. I mean, that's got to be if you think about it, that's a fun atmosphere to want to play in, right? I mean, you got to think, okay, this is pretty cool right here. So, and so I think it was good. And the system fits, what he wants to do. If he wants to play at the next level.
Yeah, I think that's true. You watch the way the Illini play; it's a little more NBA-ish, and certainly to see fellow Euros doing well has to be encouraging. This particular player, and I'm sure there's other guys that Illinois is looking at from Europe as well. Correct?
Oh yeah, no question. I would not be shocked if there were, and I know right now he's listed as 2026, so we'll see. He wants to come to prep school next year, possibly, but I would not be shocked if that changes. Once we get closer to the season, and we'll see who's around. But I think that there's a good chance they're going to bring in a couple kids from Europe. Those kids are, they've obviously done well here. When you think about, Wake Kasparis and Tomislav have done better than Zachary Perrin did. So
yeah.
That's not hard to do. Yeah, I mean that's not hard to do. But you're right. I mean they've done a really, really good job of recruiting. And Brad, we talked a little bit about it before you got on the air. You're right. To see what Tomislav is doing and how he is playing, how do you not like that? You have to be excited to know, hey, I can play in this. And he got freedom. He was able to knock down shots. And both guys kind of play the same, and they're both good passers. And this is a guy and he's big. He's 7'3". What I like about it, he looks like a typical Purdue center, but who is a much better shooter.
Yeah, how did Matt Painter, miss on a guy 7'3"? I thought he had some sort of radar to hit every single guy over 7.
If you're over 7'2", it's like you have to go to Purdue. So I don't know. Yeah, we'll see. Illinois is trying to compete with him, but he could be great. I mean, you just never know how things are going to play out. But I really think he's talented, and that's what you're looking for. You get talent, and you've got to mold it and shape it. And, also speaking of that, I mean, how cool was to see Kofi Cockburn get his jersey up in the rafters tonight? Great thing. I've got my interview with him on YouTube, also on IlliniGuys.com. You can see that our interview with his video, and it was great to hear from him and see him back in the State Farm Center. It's the second time he's been back. When he got the ring and the early, and then now to get his jersey up there in the rafters. That's cool. I mean, it's really neat to see that. I know he was very emotional. I know, his mom was there, his brother was there. So really cool to see that. Brad Underwood also, spoke about, how great it is to see a guy like Kofi, to have those, to achieve that. Because he's such a good kid. Kofi Underwood always jokes, he never has a bad day. He just handles it well. And the way he always got beat on, in the games, he had to have a pretty good demeanor.
Yeah. I got to be honest with you. If I'd have been Kofi with all the crap he took, there'd have been a fight every game, because I don't know how he managed to stay so positive under such duress of elbows and everything else that he got thrown at him.
Well, I can think of 2 games, Michigan State, and when he played in Iowa, I was doing double duty underneath the basket. You could see him getting grabbed in. I remember one time he complained to Orlando. Orlando just made him man up, but it's tough when people are grabbing at you like that. It really is. It's hard. It just is. But you know what? He's a good guy to have in the program, and he is. Because when you see guys that big, they look intimidating. Kofi's a big, soft teddy bear, is what he is.
Yeah, totally agree. One note for people, a little bit of a preview. Thursday morning, we will release the next Eye on the Illini. I had the opportunity to interview Luther Head, and Luther's doing well, and he wanted to talk with Illini fans, and he had some opinions on this year's team. Also had some opinions on who would win, who would win between the 1989 team and his team, along with I threw in the 01 team with Marcus Griffin, just because Marcus makes a lot of noise, and it's going to be fun to get his thoughts on it. That'll be Thursday morning. So if you follow our stuff, whether it's YouTube, whether it's your podcast, it'll be out there for you Thursday morning early. So, Brad, the question that has come up a lot, and I don't know, if this was asked during the post game press conference, was there any word on Trey White? We've had a lot of people leaving messages wanting to know if Trey was still injured or what was going on.
So Trey's first practice back was yesterday. Underwood kind of dismissed him not playing, basically said, he just has to get back in the flow. And he told Trey that, we're going to need you coming up. So, hopefully he can, interestingly enough, he is pretty engaged on the sideline, and after the game, after the win, he was pretty into it. So, I think that was good to see. So hopefully, he can get healthy, because he is a valuable piece to this team. He's kind of he's an athletic wing defender who can, slash, get to the rim. So yeah, hopefully he can, get back and provide some more depth for them. I mean, and other options, because, even tonight, Will Riley he did well tonight, with his, he did okay. Just had some good moments, but that's a physical game for him. That's a really tough game for him, the way they physically grab and hold and slap and smack. I mean, basically UCLA kind of used that old Georgetown idea where, we can't call them all. And they foul a lot. And, the first half, they let both teams really just, do whatever they wanted. There was almost no foul calls. I think there were 6 total free throws in the first half. And then the second half, they came out and they said they were going to call some fouls. And, it really played into Illinois' hands. I think that helped them open up the 16-point lead, and until, UCLA kind of went nuts at the end. But I think that, the Bruins play a style that's tough for a guy who's like Will, who, so wiry and thin. And, Trey sometimes can be a good matchup. And, Saturday's another one where Michigan State's going to grab and hold and foul and bloody people. And so Trey could be a valuable piece in that mode.
Brad, I'll tell you something else. Right,
go ahead, Brett. Go ahead, Ken.
Well, my concern is and I know it's not Ibises, it's not, Will Riley or KJ, but here's another guy who started who's out of the lineup. I mean, they just can't get lucky enough to stay healthy. I mean, and I know they're tired of it, but it stinks because Draven, I don't know. I mean, look, I guess we can pull it up. He didn't get a lot of minutes tonight either. I think he only played 7 minutes himself. And this was a guy that was getting 20, 25 minutes. So they just can't get healthy. And I know Brad mentioned his press conference yesterday. He wants this bug to be gone. But, man, it's just – I would like to see them get healthy, for the home stretch, especially when they play Michigan State. Like you said, they grab and whatever. But I would like – if anything, and this sounds so unprofessional, I really want to see Illinois get the benefit of the doubt of all the 50-50 calls. I don't want to see Mr. Izzo flex his chest and get all the calls. That happened up in East Lansing, and, call what you see and be fair about it. But I do not want to see what happened up there in East Lansing, especially to KJ.
Brad, we got a question for you. What did you think and see on Mick Cronin's technical?
Well, he told one of the officials, but on the play before, when I think it was the Boswell foul, Boswell got the guy up in the air and then kind of jumped into him, got the foul call. He told the guy he was effing horrible repeatedly, and then so he didn't get a technical then, but he came down the other end, and then there was another foul call, and he started screaming again, and DJ just had enough and teed him up. So then the best part was at the end of the game, Ivasic gets that tip out on the rebound.
Yes.
That's
And
what did it. Yep, that's
and
what did
he went ham on those guys. You effing screwed us. I hope you enjoyed effing screwing us. And if you remember, he used the magic word from Bull Durham or Johnny Dangerously. If it was crazy he didn't get another technical and get ejected. I think that would go home at that point. The game was over after Boswell hit the free throw. So, yeah, but he lost his mind. It was hilarious though because he's screaming and yelling at the officials out on the floor. They're running by and the game ends. He's going after him, and then he just stops screaming and goes and smiles at Brad Underwood and gives him a hug, say "Good game." It was just all like it was all a show, almost. It's really funny. This is mine.
Well, they could have given him a T for that.
I'll be honest with you. Oh yeah, well that should have been at least minus 5 points right there. But yeah, I would say this. I've heard a lot of guys yell at officials. I think that might be one of the worst tirades I've ever seen in my years of sitting courtside. I mean, to only get one technical. Because I thought that was the magic word. If you call him that, he called him So it was pretty wild.
The crazy thing is they could take care. You wouldn't have to worry about Tom Izzo screaming the whole time. Brad Underwood used to do it. He's kind of mellowed over the last couple of years, but you wouldn't have to worry about it if you basically gave the refs power to tee these guys up and get them out of there. It'd take about a week and a half, and then guys would kind of time up their yelling a little bit, and you might be a better game overall for everybody.
Yeah, totally agree. I mean, I just don't understand why you wouldn't. I don't know. Why did you want to? I get we have officials have a difficult job and they miss calls and we all criticize them, but there's a difference between a guy saying, "Hey, man, you gotta this." And Underwood talked to the officials tonight a few times. I will say this, especially after Cronin got his technical, you can see Brad working them because the tendency is, you saw it, there were a couple plays where UCLA got a couple calls right after the technical because that happened, right, for some reason. And Brad started working them then too, he said. And so, but he did not use the magic words. And I've heard Brad get mad at officials, but that was probably, he worked them and did his job. You're going to work those guys and talk to them and stuff, but I just don't understand. Why do officials accept that? Just call technical, kick them out of the game, and get rid of them. They'll stop doing it. It's really simple, and it's a really simple fix because I don't even mind guys getting on officials, but we've seen Cronin just was kind of went nuts tonight. We've seen Izzo out on the floor in the middle of games, like literally a dead ball. He's out in the middle of the lane. I've seen it twice happen on a dead ball. Like, what are we doing here? So it's sometimes just out of hand, and all they have to do is because eventually one of these guys is going to go Bob Knight and throw a chair or something, or Woody Hayes and punch a guy, and then they're going to wonder, I don't know how this happened. So
yeah, it'll be one of those unsolved mysteries. We can watch that on a show.
Exactly.
How'd that happen? Any thoughts to wrap up the night here, Brad?
Yeah, man, you see the upside of this team. They need to get some more depth. Draven Gibbs-Lawhorn needs to get healthy. I thought Jake Davis gave 9 minutes, which were solid. You'd like to see, you need to get Trey White healthy, and he provides some extra help there as well, and some depth and some bench minutes. I thought I really think that they're playing pretty well. KJ looks like KJ again. He's still going to turn the ball over a little bit, make a couple sloppy plays as he's adjusting, but he played well. Yeah, he does. At 24 points. The second half he was really good. I think he had 16 or 18 in the second half. I think it was, or 19, something like that. But he had most of his points in the second half. Thought he did a great job there. You see some really good things from them, but they got to get healthy. Allows them to play different matchups. Tonight we saw UCLA kind of go smaller, and it really allowed them to kind of take Merez out of the game a little bit and in the second half. And then also, and Illinois doesn't really have, without Trey White, you really don't have another kind of matchup for when a team goes smaller. I mean, you're kind of limited in what you can do. And they kind of went 5 out and drive. And, Ivicic had to guard, the shooter. He was playing stretch 5. And so it made it difficult. So I'd like to see them get healthy so they can I think this team has a chance to make a good run down the stretch. They can start getting healthy. And I have to say, the second half offenses in the last 3 games have been insane. When you look at Rutgers and second half offense against Rutgers, remember they couldn't score for like the first, I don't know, they had like the first 12 minutes. It was like it was playing with a basket that had a lid. And then, but then Minnesota, and then tonight, second half offense tonight was most impressive against the team that was a top 10 defensive efficiency team coming in. So really the offense in the second half, the adjustments at halftime, I know Underwood never makes adjustments, but we've seen some really good adjustments at halftime, and they've come out in the second half and been fantastic. Now, the other problem is going to be, I think, the lack of depth has hurt them on the defensive end a little bit as guys, because let's be honest, guys, if you're going to take a break, it's going to be on the defensive end because everybody likes to score. So now they have to make that, I think that's really impressive what we're seeing, and you're starting to see a team that's starting to get whole. And they have a great opportunity for 7 quad 1 wins, a chance for another one on Saturday to get to 8 quad 1 wins. And they're in a really good spot for a good NCAA seed.
I agree with
and folks, just for those who didn't see that the Chris updated everything, but Indiana did end up winning 71-67. So they take a victory on the road at Michigan State, and everybody in this league knows that between the talent at Michigan State and the ability for Izzo to scare the living shit out of refs, it is it's not an easy thing to win up there at Breslin. So congratulations to the Hoosiers. But
can I say something about that?
Go right ahead, Brad.
I was actually talking to Indiana guy, and he told me that Woodson had essentially lost that team until last week when they announced he wasn't coming back. I guess he had a team meeting when he told him, and it was like I was really like in depth and really emotional, and and the team, like, they really kind of rallied around him after that. And one of the, obviously, one of the players there is a guy who, we've known for a while. And so they said it really rallied around him. It kind of brought everybody together a little bit. And you saw them, play tough the other day. And then obviously tonight they get the huge win. So that's really impressive. Sometimes you get that, and the coach is kind of a dead man walking there. They're all kind of playing for him now because they know what's going to happen. And I think maybe they're playing a little freer now, and so that team has some talent. You hope you just hope you don't have to play them now. Maybe when they get hot, they're playing everybody else, so that's good.
Yeah, Ked, do you got any closing thoughts here as we start to put the wrap on this as we're nearing the hour, which probably tests our subscribers' patience?
For me, right now, I think Brad hit it on the head. Offensively, they're starting to click. They're starting to look like the team that we thought they were going to be. I know right now they're in 5th, 6th place, whatever they are. People can look at that. But if you're a coach of basketball, I know you're worried about this team and thinking, how in the hell am I going to stop them if they're clicking and they're shooting the ball like that? Once they get healthy again, it's just the little things. Just clean up the little things. I'm sitting here watching the game, and on the bottom you see Karasparis' numbers, which we've all talked about, and then those stupid dreaded turnovers. Like, they're important. I'm sorry, I'm not going to pretend that they're not, because I know Ivicic had 4, but that's not a regular thing for him. Clean that up. Stay hot. Keep the floor spread. Keep attacking the basket, and then you're going to get the threes. I'll end it with that.
Yep, and we folks want you to know that, of course, that game is coming up on Saturday. So Michigan State. And that's one that will be at 7 p.m. Central. That'll be on Fox. We will have our Illini Guys halftime live, and we will also have the Eye on the Illini live after the game. So we will be covering this one. Obviously, Sturdy will be there at the game. And then we're expecting a fantastic game. You know, it's going to be hard hitting. I hate to say that about a basketball game, but you know, it's going to be hard hitting. Please tune in and tune us, in during the halftime and afterwards. And of course, we are so excited to be able to provide this service to you. We enjoy it so much, sitting down and talking and have fun. We would be doing this on our own anyway. So we figured if we'd be talking to each other after the game and doing a three-way call and hashing it out, why don't we just do it on YouTube and on Twitter or on X and have some fun with it. So that's kind of why we do it. Of course, you can subscribe to IlliniGuys.com, 27 cents a day, $99 a year. That allows you to get the message boards with all the inside information, and it allows us to have the dollars to cover things so we can send Brad to New York. Otherwise, we would just send him there and then not get a return ticket, and we'll just wonder when he's going to be back. But it allows us to do those things, to provide the coverage. No one wants Matt Stevens to be, hitchhiking down to a bowl game, especially now that Brett Bielema looks like he's got this Illini team where they're going to be doing bowl games every year. So to do those type of coverage, to fly out to the Oregon game or the USC or UCLA or Washington game costs money. And so subscribers, we try to give you inside information, and that those dollars allow us to gather more and give you better coverage. So please do that. Obviously, if you can share when you see a post for our podcasts or our YouTube videos, if you can share those on your social media, you would be shocked what that does to help us in terms of people being aware of us. You can also tune in the Illini Guys Sports Spectacular. That's our 2-hour weekly radio show that you can find by going to IlliniGuys.com, hit the radio button, and it'll give you all the stations that we're on, over 20, and what time we're on. And you just got to find the city that's closest to you. If you can't listen that way, you can download the podcast as well. And we'd love to have you do that. And you'll see Ked's Recruiting Roundup, Sturdy for 30, and my Heat Checks and Hail Mary. You can also subscribe to those as well. And we would love to have people doing that on top of everything else. So with that, I am going to give this one a wrap. We will be back live on Saturday. And of course, Thursday, mark your calendars and take a look for the Luther Head Eye on the Illini. Yet another Illini legend is coming to talk with the Illini guys. And we have a list of a lot of those former athletes who come and they talk to us and give us an idea of what's going on. And they also will be able to talk about their memories and things that were important to them back when they were in their college. And we like to provide you that context. And we've had guys on like Eddie Johnson, Bruce Douglas, Derek Harper, Deion Thomas, Doug Altenberger, Marcus Liberty, Marcus Griffin, Myers Leonard, Marcus Domask, Kenny Battle, David Williams, Craig Swope, Jack Trudeau, Kevin Mitchell, Kerry Davis, Gabe Yakas, and more. So we love having those folks on, and it allows us to share those experiences with you guys. So until next time, go Illini.